Take a look at these two pictures. What comes to your mind when you see them? I'm going to give you a little time to think about it and some music just to get in the mood. But if you prefer, you may pause the video. Let me try to guess. Diversity? Or something somewhat related to it? Because that was my bet. Our world, the world we live in, is diverse. It is full of diversity. There are not fixed ways to tackle the different issues that are related to our lives. But you might be wondering why I am talking about diversity on a product that claims to be a multiliteracy and multimodality. Well, education, namely the processes of learning and teaching, are diverse in their nature, or at least that's how they need to be considered. They are not linear. They do not take place in a monodirectional, sequenced way. Learners are diverse in their ways, in the ways they approach, perceive, and learn new things. From this perspective, every single classroom is a world in itself, where diversity converges. In this regard, the New London Group, in their 1996 manifesto on a pedagogy of multiliteracies, states that if it were possible to define the mission of education, it would be possible to say that its fundamental purpose is to ensure that all students benefit from learning in ways that allow them to participate fully in society, namely the public, community, and economic life. They move forward into saying and stating that literacy pedagogy is expected to play a particularly important role in fulfilling this mission. In their article, they aim at expanding the understanding of literacy and literacy teaching and learning, and highlight two main aspects of this multiplicity. First, they extend the scope of literacy to account for the context of those culturally and linguistically diverse globalized society. And then they argue that literacy pedagogy now must account for the growing variety of test forms associated with information and multimedia technology. They coined the term multiliteracies, referring to the multiple forms of approaching the reading of the world. But, as asserted by Freire and Macedo, the reading of the world as well. However, even up to now, 21 years after the New London Group published their manifesto, it is possible to say that literacy pedagogy is restricted to very formalized monolingual, monocultural, and rule-governed forms of language. And although there is a proliferation of opportunities and resources for multimodal composing outside of the school, such as blogging, social networks, very frequently our students read and compose paper-based printed tests. Students are not normally encouraged to bring their out-of-school knowledge and interest into the classroom. It does not fit into the demanded daily lessons or the routinized model of the school. And when it is done, it is do so with the predetermined templates, primarily written tests. But regardless, the mode, also defined as resource, that we propose and implement with our learners, they are exactly that, resources. The process that are activated by the resources we use is what leads the students into their construction and learning. Nowadays, with the burgeoning of ICTs, there are more possibilities to include more resources or more modes into our classes. What ICTs do is that they facilitate the inclusion of other possibilities and resources to carry out our teaching processes. All of this refers to the concept of multimodality. Before we move on, I would like to do a little exercise. Why don't you pause the video for a moment and reflect on the following question. What is the relation between multimodality and technology? Please, as you pause the video, why don't you tweet to my account with the answer, and if possible, we might have a little chat through Twitter. My Twitter account is NotOneMoreL2. That is at NotOneMorel2. Not one more L2. Go ahead. ICTs, technology in general, allow us more multimedia experiences. Nevertheless, multimodality does not merely refer to the use of digital media. Technology itself is not multimodal. The use of digital media, namely computers, online tools, or other resources of this kind, are not multimodality by default. It is just, to put it in poetical terms, a window that opens, so more modes or more resources can be considered in our learning environments, and the more modes or resources we include, the more we benefit diversity, and the more chances our students have of succeeding in their classes as we empower them and transform our teaching practices at the same time. But what does exactly the concept of multimodality refers to? One more time, I will invite you to stop this video for a moment and tweet. Whether you have a profound and in-depth knowledge of the concept or just a shallow notion of it, I would like you to share it. So pause the video if you like and tweet on the definition or idea that you have of multimodality. Multimodality is a concept that has to do with semiotics and synesthesia, and it describes communication practices in terms of written language, oral language, visual, tactile, gestural, representation to oneself, and spatial modes. In other words, is the integration of modes for text creation rather than just the combination of them. It is the way we all construct text, and accordingly, it cannot be reduced to the digital, which will leave out some context in which the access to these conditions are limited. In other words, leaving some in and some out, and therefore becoming a mean of exclusion. I would like to close this video by raising the question of how do we specifically promote multimodality in the classroom? Well, I'm going to invite you to tweet one more time. So this time I would like you to please tweet, and this way trying to answer the question of how do we think we can include multimodality in the classroom? This way we might help each other transform our practices.